Over the last few patches, we've seen the game shift a bit more towards the attacking side. This isn't to say that the game is necessarily attacker-sided, but we have seen more sites win deltas shift towards the attack or get closer to that 50-50 range that the game inherently looks for. However, there are a couple sites that still remain predominantly defender-sided. Clubhouse Basement is one of those. If we look at the win deltas across all 5 major regions, being LATAM, NA, EU, APAC South, and North, we see that it is still pretty much fully defender-sided, except for LATAM, which is a bit of an anomaly, which may be worth investigating in its own right, but overall, these 60% win percentages and above suggest that the site is still pretty much defender-sided. Over the past few years, the meta on the site has changed a little bit. We see SSG's roam get implemented, obviously, and every team puts their own little spin on that, but by and large, there's 2 ways to defend the site, either bunkering or roaming. In this case, we're going to look at how to bunker on the site. More specifically, we'll look at BDS's approach here. Now, if you followed me for a while, you know that I kind of have a sweet spot for BDS, and the reason for that is they play what I kind of like to call Occam's razor style of siege, meaning that generally the most simple way to solve a problem is the best way to do it. Sometimes this comes back to bite them, and we definitely see that happen on occasions, but in general, as we've seen over the past few seasons, BDS are pretty good at winning. Certainly this stage has been a little bit of a slump for them, but even if that's the case, a slump for BDS is still finishing second in the league. So for this video, we're going to look at BDS's last 2 games. Playday 8, they played against Pones on Clubhouse, and then Playday 9, they played against G2 on Clubhouse. And over the course of those games, they played the basement site 5 times, winning it 4 times. And you'll see that the one time that they lost really just came down to Doki going crazy in the site on his entry, which you should be seeing in the B-roll right now. So before we get into any actual gameplay and look at the rounds themselves, I'm going to quickly show you 5 screenshots of each of those rounds at the 1-minute mark. What you'll quickly be able to see is that almost every single time they're in the same exact positions with slight variations. They have 2 players in church, Rafal and Renshiro. Rafal is playing towards black box in a bit more of a safe position, while Renshiro's the first contact on the player that's dropping Moto. They have Shaiko in blue generator. They have Lemj in armory, cycling between watching the hatch and watching the hallway. And then they'll have Bride in dirt for pretty much the entirety of the round. What's really nice about this is that almost every single player can contribute to one of the other's positions. Alemj is in the most central position, and because of this can contribute to almost every other player's position. Both him and Bride can peek the kitchen hatch. He can also hold the long hallway walk-up so that Renshiro and Rafal don't have anybody walk up behind them, and at the same time he can watch Oil Pit for Shaiko, or get his trade if someone walks down blue. Shaiko is obviously responsible with holding the backside, but at the same time he's able to use his Womidus to help everybody else out, and also hold Moto if Renshiro goes down so that no one can walk in on Rafal. At the same time, if Renshiro does die and for some reason Shaiko's busy, Rafal can also hold the Moto drop. And at the same time he can also hold the kitchen hatch drop as well. So all in all, everyone's pretty contributive to everyone else, which is really nice, because if one person goes down, everything doesn't just go to shit. Someone else can watch what they were watching previously. Obviously it might be a little bit harder this time, and if you don't get the trade right away, it can get more difficult, but in general, everyone can help everyone else out, and one position is not so important that it can't be filled if that one person goes down. With that being said, it can be argued that Alemj's position is probably the most important due to the centrality of it, and the fact that he could fill almost every other position if he needs to. Against a kitchen take, however, which it seems that most attacks do end up finishing that way, at least in these games, Bride's position is obviously the most important. Being able to clear dirt is vital for the attackers because he can deny plant so easily from this position, especially on an operator like Smoke. In this clip, we're going to see how vital this position really is, especially for Bride playing Smoke, where he makes a pretty amazing play here, to be completely honest. But also we see how vital it is for BDS by the indication that Alemj fills the position as soon as Bride leaves it. We see obviously here that Pones are going for a kitchen finish. They're trying to drop with the Osa, put the shield down, and plant behind it. Bride's pretty easily able to deny the initial plant with a smoke, and then tries to get the smokes in the back but realizes he's not getting them, and we see him make this sort of hero play. Now, this is relatively dangerous, but it's pretty important for him to make this play, I think, and I don't think it's that bad considering the circumstances. But what is important here is we see how Alemj immediately will fill Bride's position as soon as he leaves it. Also in this clip, we're able to see how Rafal is able to contribute to the kitchen hatch drop as well. While his main focus is obviously Moto, he's able to get 2 really nice easy kills when the attack drops here. The next time pawns attack this site, they go for pretty much the same exact execute, but BDS make a nice little adjustment and bring the echo on Rafal. Last time BDS had some problems with the smoke in that Bride couldn't really see where he was smoking or where the plant was going down. And even though pawns don't use the smoke this time, we see how the echo can give them info on this plant the whole entire time and basically wins them the round. Contrary to pawns, G2 elect to go for more of a Moto focus push. We will see one guy drop down blue first, which Shaiko will quickly shut down, but then after that you'll see how the 3-way crossfire onto Moto that we emphasized earlier really works in BDS's favor and makes it almost impossible for G2 to even get into the site. The final round that we're going to look at here really emphasizes how, even without the smoke in dirt, the positional play really enables this to be a really strong defense. Alemj is able to pretty much single-handedly shut down the main hall push, which really isolates all the kitchen hatch players, and Bride with the ult is essentially able to just mow them down. So I'm not going to suggest that playing these 5 positions automatically wins you the round. That's not the case. Obviously, BDS are mechanically gifted enough to play these positions and shut these things down, but the idea is more philosophical in that if you focus on playing the site positionally and working with your teammates, making sure that you're somehow contributing to somebody else's position, naturally you're going to see your win rate increase. Granted, I think that these attacks aren't necessarily focusing on the right things in order to shut down this kind of defense. If you are tasked with attacking a defense like this, what you really want to do is focus on the extremities. In this case, you really want to focus on Bride so that he can't contribute to the kitchen hatch drop, or you'd like to focus on Shaiko in the blue position so that he can't contribute to the Moto hatch. That means that Alemj is in a really tough position in trying to help both sides at the same exact time, and he'll just be overwhelmed. But if your team is focusing on developing a bunker strat for this site, this might be a good foundation to start from. Make sure that you have these players in these 5 positions and kind of toy with it to see what works best for you or what players work best in different positions. Obviously, you can try and play it a bit more aggressively if you wanted to, play the stair sets or even do a really light roam. But ultimately, you want to end up in these 5 positions because they're really cohesive with one another and just work really well together.